Welcome to the Mystic Messenger. I'm your host, the Mystic, and this is where hidden truths rise and your soul remembers. Today, we begin with the very first thing you ever did when you entered this earthly realm. You didn't say a word. You didn't open your eyes. You didn't need a name. You simply breathed. And in that moment, the moment you first inhaled, you spoke the hidden name of God. Most of us have no idea we're doing it. But there is an ancient secret buried deep in nearly every sacred tradition that the name of the divine is not meant to be pronounced with the mouth. It's meant to be breathed. Mystics of the ancient world knew this. They didn't just study words or rituals. They studied frequency, vibration, and most importantly, the breath. In Hebrew, the name of God is often written as 4 letters. Yod, He, Vav, He, also known as the tetragrammation. But what's rarely taught is that these 4 letters don't form a spoken name, they form a breathing pattern. On the inhale, the sound is and on the exhale, the sound is Yeh Wah. The true Yeh Wah. And with that rhythm, every soul on earth, regardless of belief or religion, is literally speaking the name of God with every single breath, from the newborn child to the one taking their last breath. The divine is spoken in silence, the most sacred name in the universe woven into your being. So why don't we really know this is happening? Why was something so sacred, so universal, hidden? Because if you knew that your breath was already divine, that you've never been separate from source, you wouldn't have bowed to the system. You wouldn't need intermediaries. You wouldn't search outside of yourself for salvation. And so, the breath, the bridge, was buried beneath dogma, forgotten language, and fear. We were taught to say grace before meals, but never to breathe grace into our bodies. We were told to pray to God, but never that every breath was a prayer. Here's the truth your soul remembers. Breath is creation. It's how spirit moves through matter, how your soul speaks to your body, and how the light enters your cells. Before there was light, there was breath. Rach, prana, chi, pneuma, the sacred winds. It is the animating force. It's how the Christos fluid begins to rise. It's how your Merkaba begins to spin. It's how time collapses and memory returns. But what if I told you that every time you breathe, you're not just taking in oxygen, you're drawing in divine instruction? That your lungs aren't just biological, they're alchemical vessels. And the pathway the breath takes through your body is the same sacred path used in temples, pyramids, and energy grids. Let's begin. Your breath is not of this earth. It is the one thing that connects your spiritual and material bodies. The breath begins in spirit, it travels through the soul's blueprint, and it lands in the body. It's a carrier of data, a code that moves between realms, the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the astral. When you inhale, you draw in light intelligence from the higher planes. When you exhale, you release density, emotion, karma, and programming. And between those two is the sacred pause, the still point, where eternity exists, where source whispers. This is the realm the elite don't want you to enter, because once you access that still point, you remember who you are. In esoteric teachings, the body is the temple. But temples were never just buildings. They were vessels of resonance, architectural mirrors of the energy body. Let's map it out. The nostrils are the gatekeepers, the cherubim at the Eden's gate. The pineal gland is the holy of holies, where light meets spirit. The lungs are the twin pillars, Jashin and Bose, masculine and feminine breath. The spine is Jacob's ladder, the bridge of ascension. The diaphragm is the veil, the point where heaven meets earth. When you breathe consciously, you begin to activate the temple. That's why in ancient mystery schools, breath was taught before speech, before alchemy, and before prayer. Because nothing happens without the breath. It is the sacred key. Now here's where it gets hidden and real. When you experience trauma, physical, emotional, spiritual, the first thing to go is your breath. You gasp, you freeze, and you hold it. Your body tightens, your mind fragments, your energy body locks a timeline in place. This is how the soul splits, not just through pain, but through breath interpretation. That's why healing often begins with someone finally lets out a cry or takes a full breath after years. You can't fully heal until you learn how to breathe again, and you can't fully ascend until you remember that breath is the chariot of soul memory. Before mantras, before meditations, there was breath. Mystics in Egypt, the Himalayas, and the Ascend brothers practiced sacred breath sequences to activate the Christos fluid, open the pineal gland, cleanse trauma held in the liver and lungs, and align the Merkaba field, your personal light body chariot. They knew the breath is not air, it is spirit encoded with memory. But what if I told you that every time you breathe, you're not just taking in oxygen, you're drawing in divine instructions? That your lungs aren't just biological, they're alchemical vessels. And the pathway the breath takes through your body is the same sacred path used in temples, pyramids, and energy grids. In mystical teachings, there are 4 planes of the soul's awareness mapped in everything from Kabbalah to Hermetic alchemy. Asaya, the physical realm, Yetzirah, the emotional astral realm, Bira, the mental creative realm, and Atziluth, the spiritual divine realm. Each of these realms corresponds to the level of your consciousness. Your unconscious is deeply tied to the physical and emotional realms. It's where your automatic responses, trauma patterns, and ancestral memory live. Your subconscious operates like a translator, the astral dream realm, filled with symbols, impulses, and programs. Your conscious mind exists in the mental plane. It's rational, linear, focused on now. Your superconscious, the soul and spirit, lives in the divine realm. It's timeless, intuitive, and connected to source. But here's the truth. Most people never leave Asaya or Yetzirah. They're stuck recycling trauma, reacting from emotional triggers, and replaying karmic loops. Why? Because they've forgotten how to breathe up the tree. Every breath you take either grounds you deeper into the material density or lifts you into soul remembrance. Here's how. When you breathe, or when your breath is shallow, fast, or held unconsciously, you stay trapped in Asaya or Yetzirah. You feel fear, doubt, anxiety. You think it's you, but it's your body stuck in the lower trunk of the tree. When you slow your breath, deepen it, especially through the nose and into the diaphragm, you begin to open the channel upward. And when the Christos fluid rises in sync with your breath, you pass through the veil of Bera, the mental realm, and awaken into Atziluth, the divine world. That's where downloads come. That's where your multidimensional memory lives. That's where you become the breath of God in action. Here's a secret most neuroscientists won't tell you. The brain is not the mind. Your brain is hardware, an organic processor. It receives signals from consciousness the same way a radio tunes into the frequency. The mind is a realm. It lives across dimensions. The lower mind, which is the ego, lives in polarity. It's black and white, fight or flight. The middle mind governs logic and learning. The higher mind interfaces with soul. This is where intuition, prophecy, and knowing arise. And it's your breath that determines which level of mind you're operating from. That's why monks meditate. That's why yogis breathe before channeling. That's why initiates fast, pray, and still the body to climb back up the tree. You've been taught to use your head, but never to ascend through it. From the base of your spine to the top of your head is your Jacob's ladder. The root, the Asaya, is survival. Your breath here is in fear. The sacral and solar, Yetzirah, hold emotions, desire, and ego identity. The heart and throat is Bera, express love and truth. The third eye and crown is Atziluth, open to the divine. Each inhale and exhale is either an ascent or a descent. And with practice, your breath becomes a living elevator of light, activating the tree of life within you and allowing the Christos fluid to rise. This is what the elites, the institutions, and the false prophets hid from you. Because if you knew that your very breath could rewire your trauma, realign your destiny, and reconnect you to God, you wouldn't need anyone else to tell you what to believe. You would just breathe and remember. When the breath becomes conscious, when it rises up the spine like a river of light, when you inhale and exhale become one seamless prayer, you don't just breathe, you become the breath, you become the word. This is the beginning of the final transmutation, when your physical, emotional, and mental identities begin to dissolve, and you embody your light. In the ancient mysteries, the process was called many things. The rainbow body in Tibetan Bon and Doshchen, the Merkaba activation in Kemet and the Hebrew mysteries, the anointed one, literally meaning Christ, through sacred oils and breath work. The Ka merging with the Ba, soul and spirit unifying into one. And in the Gnostic text, the bridal chamber, where the divine masculine and feminine breath are united within. All of them point to one thing: a human who remembers what they are, a soul with a breath as its holy language. When this begins, the body changes. You might feel heat rising in your spine, ringing in your ears, vivid dreams or flashbacks, tears flowing for no reason, a calm inner knowing, a disinherent in fear, drama, or even food at times. You are reorienting your biology to your divine blueprint. You're no longer run by cortisol and survival mode. You're run by breath and frequency. You become sovereign. You become still. You become a vessel. Every 28 days, the moon completes her cycle, and every 28 days, your body, especially for those assigned female at birth, experience an opportunity. To release density, we bleed, detox, emotional clearing. To activate the Christos fluid, a sacred oil produced at the base of our spine. To ride the lunar wave upward to the pineal gland. To spiritually bloom, activating psychic visions, healing powers, and higher memory. This cycle is biological and spiritual. The elites call it sinful, dirty. But the truth is, it's divine technology. And when the fluid makes it to the crown, when it is not wasted through fear, lower acts, or over-identification with ego, it anoints the pineal gland. That is the internal second coming. The resurrection is not external. It is in you, and it's rising. Remember the tale of Santa Claus? If you were good, you got presents. If not, you got coal. That's the myth. It's a distortion of the sacred process. Santa equals saint or santo, the divine figure who rewards purity. Claus, which is clavis in Latin meaning key, and coal, the base of carbon material, the untransmuted self. Those who stay in ego, in deceit, in spiritual laziness receive coal, not as a punishment, but as a mirror of unactivated energy. Those who walk the path of integrity, intention, breath, and love receive the gifts of spirit. Because you don't earn the divine through performance, you align with it through purity. And when you do, your Christos fluid is the gift delivered, your breath is the sleigh, and your pineal gland is the chimney. Yes, the story has always been about you. So what now? What happens when you realize you've always been the bridge between heaven and earth? You walk differently, you speak with care, you pause often to breathe, to remember, to redirect. You may not always be perfect, but you'll never again be unconscious, because now you know. Your inhale is divine will, your exhale is divine creation. The sacred name of God is not written in stone, it's spoken in your lungs. Yod He Va He. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Every breath is the holy name, every breath is the code, and every breath brings you home. To those who have ears to hear and lungs to breathe, this is your awakening. Let the word become you. Let the breath of God move you. And may you never forget, you are not just here to speak about the divine. You are here to breathe it into existence. Until next time, inhale with presence, exhale with power, and walk this world as the voice of the infinite.